In the popular imagination, black wealth in America has a specific geography. We usually picture the gated communities of Atlanta, the entertainment boardrooms of Los Angeles, or the brownstones of Harlem. But while the world watches those established hubs, the tectonic plates of economic power have shifted. A new capital is rising, quietly, steadily, and with a ferocity that is reshaping the American South. We are talking about North Carolina. From the banking towers in Charlotte to the biotech labs in the Research Triangle, a new class of power players has emerged. These are the 15 richest black women in North Carolina. Number 15. Georgie Nakima, the visual alchemist. We begin our countdown not with a bank account you can see on a stock ticker, but with an asset class that has quietly outperformed the S&P 500 for decades: fine art and cultural equity. In the booming cultural economy of Charlotte, Georgie Nakima is not merely a painter. She is a visual architect of the city's rapidly evolving identity. Known artistically as Garden of Journey, Nakima represents the creative capital that fuels the revitalization of urban spaces. In the modern real estate market, art is no longer just decoration, it is a valuation multiplier. Developers and city planners have realized that placemaking, the act of turning a generic concrete block into a destination, requires a visual soul. Nakima provides that soul. From the plotted streets of Charlotte's historic West End to international commissions, Nakima has scaled her brand from canvas to concrete. She works with corporate giants and municipal bodies who understand that associating with authentic black art is a mandatory branding strategy in the New South. Her murals do more than beautify. They signal to investors and residents alike that a neighborhood is arriving. Her wealth is built on the modern creator economy model, which is distinct from the starving artist trope of the past. This model relies on high-ticket corporate commissions, licensing deals, and the appreciation of original works. When an artist reaches Nakima's level of visibility, their signature becomes a brand partnership. Furthermore, Nakima's influence extends into education and community advocacy. By controlling the visual language of the city, she holds a form of soft power that is critical in a state grappling with gentrification. She ensures that as the skyline changes, the history and the faces of the community are literally painted onto the infrastructure. She sits at number 15, not because she is a billionaire, but because she controls the visual currency of the wealth that surrounds her. In the new North Carolina, your imagination is your most liquid asset, and Georgie Nakima has diversified her portfolio. Number 14. Lori Jones, the supply chain sovereign. To understand the velocity of money in Raleigh and the Research Triangle, you have to look at what people consume before they close the deal. Coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world, surpassed only by oil. Lori Jones, the founder of Blackology Coffee Company, represents the explosion of the millionaire next-door class in the Triangle who are disrupting traditional commodities. Jones didn't just open a cute coffee shop, she attacked the supply chain. In a state with a deep agricultural history, she recognized that the real money isn't just in serving the cup, it's in controlling the brand and the distribution. Blackology was born out of a desire to cultivate a space that explicitly centered Black joy and community, but its business fundamentals are rooted in rigorous logistics. By focusing on ethically sourced products and creating a brand identity that resonates with the Buy Black movement, she tapped into a premium market segment. But the genius of Lori Jones is in her pivot from direct-to-consumer to wholesale and corporate partnerships. She understood that while selling a latte generates cash, selling bulk contracts to corporations and retailers generates wealth. This is the Starbucks strategy applied at a micro level. Build a brand that signals a specific lifestyle and identity, then scale the distribution until it becomes unavoidable. Jones pivoted from a career in corporate stability to the volatility of ownership, representing the modern North Carolina hustle where the ceiling is determined only by how much product you can move. Her success highlights a growing trend in North Carolina: the shift from service to product. Service businesses require your presence. Product businesses can scale while you sleep. By positioning Blackology as a premier roaster in a region obsessed with craft beverages, She is building a micro-empire that is rapidly becoming a macro player in the state's hospitality sector. Number 13. Diamond Weems, the customization queen. Parallel to the rise of artisanal coffee is the explosion of the beauty experience economy, and sitting at the helm of that shift in Charlotte is Diamond Weems. Weems, the CEO of Lip & Pour, saw a gap in the multi-billion-dollar beauty industry that major conglomerates were too slow to fill: hyper-customization. For decades, the beauty industry operated on a one-shade-fits-most model. Black women, in particular, were often left out of the equation, forced to mix existing products to find a match. Diamond Weems didn't just solve this problem, she gamified it. Lip & Pour is not just a store, it is a custom blend bar where customers create their own unique lipstick and foundation shades in a lab-like setting. This is a brilliant execution of the experience economy. In a post-Amazon world, traditional retail is dying because people can buy anything online for cheaper. But you cannot buy an experience on Amazon. You have to be there. Weems charges a premium not just for the product, but for the memory of making it. Her business model is a masterclass in vertical integration on a small scale. By controlling the manufacturing process in-house, the mixing and pouring, she captures the margins that usually go to a third-party factory. Furthermore, her studio in Charlotte has become a viral sensation. It is a fixture for bachelorette parties, corporate team-building events, and influencers. This creates a marketing loop that feeds itself. Every customer who films themselves making a lipstick and posts it to TikTok or Instagram is free advertising. Weems represents the Instagram-to-income pipeline, where aesthetic and experience convert directly into cash flow. Her wealth is currently in the rapid accumulation phase, driven by a business model that is franchise-ready. She proves that North Carolina's soil is fertile ground for those who know that the future of retail isn't selling things, it's selling memories. Number 12. Sabrina Collier, the culinary mogul. If you want to know where the power lunches happen in Charlotte or where the cultural elite gather for dinner, you look for Sabrina Collier. As the co-owner of the critically acclaimed restaurant Leah and Louise and the Uptown Yoke, Collier is not just a restaurateur. She is a James Beard-nominated force of nature who is redefining Southern hospitality. In the hospitality industry, wealth is often a mirage. It is a business notorious for thin margins, high failure rates, and grueling hours. But Sabrina Collier operates differently. She and her husband, Chef Greg Collier, have built the Bay Haven Restaurant Group, a corporate structure that allows them to scale concepts, manage talent, and control their intellectual property. They didn't just open a restaurant, they launched an ecosystem. They founded the Bay Haven Food and Wine Festival, a massive annual event that aggregates Black culinary talent from across the country. This is platform wealth. By creating the stage that other chefs stand on, Collier takes a piece of the entire ecosystem, attracting sponsorship dollars from major corporations like Coca-Cola and large bank institutions that want to reach the Black demographic. Collier has navigated the treacherous waters of the restaurant industry, surviving the global pandemic, inflation, and labor shortages by building a brand that is synonymous with New South excellence. Her influence extends into the policy of the city. She is a vocal advocate for fair wages and sustainable business practices, understanding that a healthy workforce is a profitable one. Sabrina Collier represents the transition of soul food from a mom-and-pop staple to a fine dining asset class. She commands the prices, the press, and the respect that come with high-end gastronomy. In her hands, a plate of food is not just a meal, it is a political statement and a financial asset. Number 11. Kika Wise, the franchise unicorn. In the world of wealth building, there is one word that separates the rich from the wealthy: scale. You can be rich owning one store, but you become wealthy when you own the system that builds the stores. In Charlotte, no one is scaling faster than Kika Wise. As the founder of Kika Stretch Studios, she is a rarity in the business world, a Black woman franchisor. Most entrepreneurs are content to own one successful location and work themselves to exhaustion. Wise had a different vision. She took the concept of assisted stretching, a niche service formerly reserved for elite athletes and dancers, and democratized it for the masses. But the genius was in the franchise model. Kika Wise spent years perfecting her Kika method, creating a standardized operating procedure that could be taught to anyone. Once she proved the model worked in her own studios, she began selling the blueprint. This is the Ray Kroc model of wealth. By selling franchises, she generates upfront franchise fees, often tens of thousands of dollars per location. And more importantly, recurring royalty checks. She takes a percentage of the gross revenue from every studio in her network, whether she visits them or not. This decouples her wealth from her time. Kika Wise could be sleeping in her Charlotte home while a studio in another time zone is generating revenue for her estate. She represents the systematizers, the women who realize that the product isn't the stretch. The product is the business model itself. With locations spreading across the country, she is proving that Black women can dominate the franchising industry, a sector historically controlled by white men. Number 10. Rhapsody, the lyrical investor. When we talk about hip-hop wealth, the conversation usually drifts to Jay-Z's billions or Diddy's empire in New York. But in the quiet green fields of Snow Hill, North Carolina, a different kind of hip-hop legacy was born. Marlana Evans, known to the world as Rhapsody, is arguably one of the most respected lyricists of her generation. A woman who went toe-to-toe with Kendrick Lamar and earned the respect of the entire industry without ever selling out her image. But Rhapsody's financial story is about more than just bars. It's about intellectual property and cultural equity. Unlike many artists who sign away their futures for a quick advance and a chain, Rhapsody has moved with the strategic patience of a seasoned investor. Under the mentorship of Ninth Wonder, another North Carolina giant, she built a career under the Jamla Records banner. This independence allowed her to retain a level of creative and financial control that is rare in the streaming era. She is also affiliated with Roc Nation, placing her in the orbit of the Carters and opening doors to high-level brand partnerships. But her real asset is her brand integrity. Because she never compromised her message for radio play, she has attracted partnerships with major corporations and cultural institutions that want to align with conscious and intellectual culture. Her net worth is bolstered by a touring machine that hits global markets, from South Africa to Europe. In the music business, touring is where the immediate cash is, but the catalog is where the generational wealth lives. Rhapsody is playing the long game. She represents the creative capital of the state, proof that you don't have to move to New York to influence the culture, and you certainly don't have to compromise to get paid. She is holding the line, and the line is profitable. Number 9. Ariana DeBose, the Hollywood powerhouse. If Rhapsody holds down the music front, Ariana DeBose is conquering Hollywood with a Carolina smile. Born in Wilmington and raised in Raleigh and Wake Forest, DeBose is the explosion of talent that happens when North Carolina's robust arts education meets pure ambition. She didn't just stumble into fame, she trained for it, cutting her teeth at the CC & Co. Dance Complex in Raleigh before launching herself onto the Broadway stage. But her placement on this list is defined by one specific moment: winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role as Anita in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. In Hollywood, an Oscar is a financial multiplier. It is not just a trophy, it is a negotiation tool. Winning an Academy Award moves an actor into a different tax bracket. It opens the door to first-dollar gross deals, massive brand ambassadorships, and executive production credits. DeBose has leveraged this moment perfectly, moving from stage to screen to voice acting, starring in Disney's Wish, and hosting the Tony Awards multiple times. Her wealth is currently in the rapid accumulation phase. She is securing contracts that were previously closed to Afro-Latina queer women, but her connection to North Carolina remains the grounding wire of her story. She represents the state's ability to produce world-class talent that can command 8-figure career earnings. Ariana DeBose is the new face of the NC to NYC pipeline, proving that the road to the red carpet runs straight through Wake County. Every role she books now is a deposit into a portfolio built on the foundation of Southern discipline. She is not just an actress, she is a burgeoning media enterprise. Number 8. Dr. Goldie Bird, the intellectual asset. North Carolina is a global hub for medicine. Between Duke Health, UNC Health, and Atrium Health in Charlotte, the medical economy is the state's lifeblood. Rising to the top of this sector are Black women who have transitioned from practitioners to power brokers. Dr. Goldie Bird is the epitome of this medical matriarch class. As the director of the Maya Angelou Center for Health Equity at Wake Forest University School of Medicine, and previously a dean at North Carolina A&T State University, she operates at the intersection of academia, massive federal grants, and pharmaceutical consulting. Dr. Bird is a pioneer in Alzheimer's research, specifically focusing on the genetic and environmental factors affecting African Americans. In the world of high-level medical research, wealth is generated through a combination of executive salaries, grant management, which can run into the tens of millions, and consulting fees for pharmaceutical companies desperate for data on diverse populations. Women like Dr. Bird are not just earning doctors' salaries, they are managing the infrastructure of health. They sit on hospital boards, influence where healthcare dollars are spent, and own the intellectual property derived from their research. In the research triangle, Black female researchers are increasingly founding their own private practices and biotech consultancies. This is intellectual capital, converting into real estate and generational savings. They are the quiet millionaires, the ones whose wealth is hidden behind lab coats and board certifications, but whose impact on the economic health of the Black community is immeasurable. Dr. Bird represents the brain trust of the state. Her wealth is secure, recession-proof, and deeply impactful. Number 7. Ebony Thomas, the banking baroness. Charlotte is the second largest banking center in the United States, affectionately known as the Wall Street of the South. It is the headquarters of Bank of America and the eastern hub for Wells Fargo. Sitting near the top of that financial pyramid is Ebony Thomas. As the president of the Bank of America Charitable Foundation, she controls the flow of hundreds of millions of dollars in philanthropic capital. But do not mistake charity for a vow of poverty. In the corporate world, the executives who manage the reputation, the ESG, environmental, social, and governance, strategies, and the community investments of a trillion-dollar bank are compensated like the elite strategists they are. Ebony Thomas is a power player who sits at the table where the biggest deals in the city are discussed. Her personal wealth is built on the executive compensation package of a major financial institution, a mix of high base salary, performance bonuses, and stock options that vest over time. These golden handcuffs create significant wealth accumulation for those who can survive the pressure of the C-suite. She represents the corporate elite of Charlotte. These are the women who have navigated the glass ceilings and the concrete walls of the banking industry to reach the top. Her influence allows her to shape the economic destiny of the city, directing funds to housing initiatives, education, and small business development. She lives the lifestyle of a high-powered financier, but her real flex is her Rolodex. When Ebony Thomas calls, the city answers. She proves that you don't have to start a business to get rich. Sometimes, you just have to run the biggest business in town. Number 6. Michelle Baker Sanders, the corporate and civic strategist. Wealth is not always about who has the most cash in the bank today. Sometimes it is about who controls the flow of money for everyone else. Michelle Baker Sanders sits at that intersection of private wealth and public power. A native of Belhaven, North Carolina, Sanders didn't start in politics. She spent over 30 years climbing the ladder of the biotechnology and pharmaceutical industries, two of the most lucrative sectors in the world. Before she became North Carolina's Secretary of Commerce, Sanders was a high-ranking executive at Biogen, a biotech giant with a massive footprint in the Research Triangle Park. In the corporate world, an executive of her stature commands a compensation package that includes heavy stock options and performance bonuses. She knows how the sausage is made because she ran the factory. Now, as the person responsible for the state's entire economic development strategy, she is orchestrating the deals that are bringing billions of dollars into North Carolina. She is the architect behind the arrival of companies like Apple, VinFast, and massive Toyota battery manufacturing plants. While her public service salary is capped by the state, her personal net worth, built on decades of biotech equity, is substantial. This financial independence allows her to operate without fear. She represents the executive class of Black women in North Carolina. Highly educated, corporately tested, and financially independent long before they ever stepped onto a podium. Sanders proves that the skills you learn in the boardroom are the exact skills needed to run a state. Number 5. The estate of Nina Simone. The eternal royalty of Tryon. We cannot talk about Black wealth in North Carolina without acknowledging the spiritual and financial weight of the High Priestess of Soul. Eunice Kathleen Wayman, known to the world as Nina Simone, was born in Tryon, North Carolina. While she passed away in 2003, her estate remains a generating engine of wealth and cultural capital. In the music industry, death is often just a tax event, but for legends like Simone, it is the beginning of a legacy business. Her catalog of songs, Feeling Good, I Put a Spell on You, Mississippi Goddamn, are constantly licensed for movies, commercials, luxury brand campaigns, and samples by top-tier artists like Kanye West and Jay-Z. Each use generates royalties. In recent years, the value of music publishing catalogs has skyrocketed, with private equity firms treating them like gold or real estate. The Nina Simone estate is a multi-million-dollar asset class of its own. But beyond the royalties, there is the physical legacy in North Carolina. Her childhood home in Tryon was recently saved and preserved by 4 world-renowned contemporary Black artists, Adam Pendleton, Rashid Johnson, Ellen Gallagher, and Julie Meritou. They purchased the property to preserve it as a cultural landmark, ensuring that the physical history of Black genius in the state is not erased. This elevates the property value and tourism economy of the entire region. Nina Simone's wealth was hard-won, fighting through Jim Crow and industry exploitation. But today, her name is a blue-chip stock in the portfolio of Black American culture. She proves that North Carolina doesn't just produce labor, it produces genius that pays dividends forever. Number 4. The estate of Maya Angelou, the literary lioness. Like Nina Simone, Maya Angelou was a global citizen, but her roots and her final years were deeply planted in North Carolina soil. The legendary poet, author, and civil rights activist lived in Winston-Salem for decades, where she served as the Reynolds Professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University. When she passed, she left behind not just a library of masterpieces, but a tangible estate worth tens of millions of dollars. Angelou was one of the first Black women to truly monetize her voice on a global scale. She didn't just write books, she built a multimedia empire before that term existed. She wrote greeting cards for Hallmark, a deal that was criticized by elites but was financially brilliant. She delivered inaugural poems. She lectured for 5-figure fees, and she owned significant real estate. Her home in Winston-Salem was a repository of priceless art and African American history. Today, her estate continues to generate massive revenue. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is a perennial bestseller, required reading in schools across the planet. Her likeness is now on the U.S. quarter, a symbolic nod to her immense value. For North Carolina, Angelou represents the prestige of the Black intellectual elite. She showed that a Black woman could live in the South, speak her truth, and build a fortune that commands respect from Wall Street to the White House. She turned words into wealth, a transmutation that few ever master. Number 3. Fantasia Barrino, the Phoenix of High Point. There is no story in North Carolina quite like Fantasia's. Born in High Point, she rose to fame as the winner of American Idol in 2004. Her voice a raw, soulful force that felt like it carried the weight of the entire South. But her journey to wealth was not a straight line. It was a roller coaster of massive success, financial ruin, and a triumphant, hard-fought return. In the mid-2000s, Fantasia faced the dark side of sudden wealth, predatory contracts, family burdens, and the threat of foreclosure on her Charlotte mansion. The tabloids wrote her off. But North Carolina women are built different. Fantasia didn't fold. She reinvented. She took her talents to Broadway, starring in The Color Purple, and toured relentlessly, rebuilding her fortune brick by brick. She learned the business of show business. Today, Fantasia is back on top. Her starring role in the 2023 film adaptation of The Color Purple, was a full-circle moment that re-established her Hollywood bankability and catapulted her earning potential back into the stratosphere. She has launched her own wine brand, owns significant real estate, and manages her career with a new level of financial literacy and control. Fantasia is the new money that learned from old money mistakes. She is the embodiment of resilience, proving that you can lose it all and make it back double, as long as you never lose your voice. Her net worth is now firmly back in the multi-millions, but her wisdom is priceless. Number 2. Pastor Shirley Caesar, the Gospel Empress of Durham. If you want to see what old money looks like in the Black community of North Carolina, you go to church. And at the head of that table sits the First Lady of Gospel, Pastor Shirley Caesar. Born and raised in Durham, Shirley Caesar is not just a singer, she is an institution. With a career spanning 7 decades, 11 Grammy Awards, and over 40 albums, she is one of the most successful gospel artists in history. But do not mistake her for just a choir singer. Shirley Caesar is a CEO. She has navigated the music industry since the 1950s, a time when Black artists were routinely robbed of their royalties. Caesar, however, learned the business early. She owns her masters, she runs her touring company, and she has served as a pastor and civic leader in Raleigh for decades. Her net worth is estimated to be over $16 million. This wealth comes from a diversified portfolio, music royalties, real estate holdings in the Triangle, and her leadership at Mount Calvary Word of Faith Church. She famously went viral with the You Name It challenge, and instead of just letting the internet laugh, she shrewdly monetized the moment, selling merchandise and releasing a remix. Caesar represents the faith economy, the massive financial power of the Black church in the South. She lives in a sprawling estate in North Raleigh, drives luxury cars, and gives back millions to the community. She is the matriarch of North Carolina wealth, a woman who built a kingdom on faith and business acumen. She proves that you can serve the Lord and sign the checks at the same time. Number 1. Janice Bryant Howroyd, the billionaire from Tarboro. And finally, we arrive at the summit. The richest Black woman from North Carolina and one of the richest self-made women in the entire world is Janice Bryant Howroyd. Born in Tarboro, North Carolina, during the height of segregation, Janice was one of 11 children. She attended a segregated school and learned the value of $1 from her father and mother. She later attended North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, an experience she credits with sharpening her resilience. With just $900 in her pocket, including a loan from her mother, she eventually moved to California and started a business in the back of a rug shop. That business was the ActOne Group. Today, ActOne is a global employment and management empire with a presence in over 30 countries and annual revenues exceeding $1 billion. Howroyd is the first African-American woman to build and own a billion-dollar company. Let that sink in. Not an entertainer, not an athlete, but a B2B titan who helps other companies find talent. While she operates globally, her North Carolina roots are the core of her identity. She has donated millions back to NCA&T, endowing scholarships and building infrastructure. She returns to the state frequently, investing in mentorship and business programs. Her net worth is estimated at over $600 million personally, with her company valued in the billions. She owns real estate across the globe, flies private, and sits on boards appointed by U.S. presidents. But when she speaks, you still hear Tarboro. You still hear the grit of a North Carolina girl who refused to be defined by her circumstances. Janice Bryant Howroyd is the blueprint. She is the proof that a Black woman from a small town in North Carolina can conquer the global economy. She is the undisputed richest Black woman from North Carolina. From the murals of Georgie Nakima to the billion-dollar empire of Janice Bryant Howroyd, these women tell a story of unstoppable ascension. Which of these Carolina queens inspired you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Black Status for more deep dives into the hidden geography of Black wealth. We'll see you in the next one.